Hello everyone. Welcome to JalVishwa, a decision support tool to select an appropriate treatment technology for ensuring sustainable and resilient sewage treatment in your city. In this video, we will understand the significance of scenario based decision making. Essentially, in the earlier video, we have looked at the technology selection tool and how to use this tool for decision making. And in that, we had selected no scenario. However, in this video, we will understand the significance of specifying the scenarios for the given context of technology selection and how it impacts decision making. So, as you can see in this framework, the scenarios have been defined based on two criteria. First is the context of decision making, that is whether you are applying or you are implementing the treatment in a rural area, a peri-urban, which is a urbanizing villages or census towns, or outskirts of the existing metropolitan cities, and or whether in the urban area, in the dense core of the cities. So the location essentially affects several criteria and will have an impact on the decision making. Similarly, the second parameter that influences the scenario that has been used to define the scenario is the end use of the treated water. Whether you are using the treated wastewater for irrigation or landscaping purpose, or you're using for non-potable purposes such as toilet flushing or industrial reuse, or you're disposing it to the sea or in the river. So depending on these two parameters, your scenario will play a role. Uh, so how essentially, in what way the scenarios will impact your decision making is through the weights. Let us try to understand the assigning of weights for different scenarios through a couple of examples. So let's say these are different settings. So basically, these are three contexts of decision making. And these are some selected indicators which I have chosen for assigning weights. Now, the first scenario comprises of urban. You have to implement sewage treatment in an urban area, and like there is, let's say, a city like Pune, uh, which has rivers, and the treated wastewater is disposed in the nearby river. The second scenario has consists of an urban scenario in which the treated wastewater is used for irrigation or gardening purpose within the locality. The third scenario comprises of rural area, which is using the treated wastewater for irrigation. So in this case, with regard to assigning of weights, as you can see, for construction cost, I have assigned a higher weight to rural areas, which means that in urban areas, relatively, the availability of funds will not be much of a problem. And if I am to use the treated wastewater for irrigation, then I need to be more uh, careful regarding the water quality. Hence, I have assigned a higher weight to this scenario. And in case of rural areas, the construction cost or the funds availability might be a problem as against urban areas. So in this case, a higher weight is assigned to the this parameter so as to penalize that particular indicator. This essentially means a higher weight to the rural area means that my decision making will be more sensitive to this particular parameter. Same is the case of operation and maintenance. So let's say I have assigned a higher weight uh, to the end use having irrigation or gardening as the end use, in which I will, since I'm actually using the treated wastewater, I have to be more careful regarding the performance and the to ensure the sustenance of the treatment plant. With respect to net present worth, uh, again, similar is the case. I assigned higher weights to to the scenarios in which a treated wastewater is being used. With respect to eutrophication potential, so this and the phosphorus removal efficiency. So I have given equal weights to both of these, since the phosphorus removal efficiency will more or less govern the eutrophication potential. And in case of disposal to the water bodies, I have assigned higher weights because of the tendency of eutrophication. So if I am reusing the treated wastewater for gardening purposes, then I might not be that careful regarding phosphorus removal, because uh, some retention of phosphorus and other nutrients in the treated wastewater might not be harmful for the plants. However, if you're disposing the treated wastewater in ocean or in any particular river or lake, then definitely the presence of nutrients will have a risk of eutrophication in the water bodies, and hence by assigning a higher weight to these indicators, I am essentially penalizing the technologies which have lower phosphorus removal efficiency. With respect to BOD removal, in case of urban scenarios, I have assigned a higher weight, considering it might happen that in urban settings, the standards for organic removal may be high. But again, this is a context specific. And lastly, land requirement. Uh, Similar to construction cost, as I mentioned that in rural areas, due to fund availability, construction cost has been given a higher weight. Uh, in case of land requirement, in urban areas, due to the land constraints, land requirement has been given a higher weight, which essentially means that when my decision making is in urban areas, I will be penalizing the technologies which have higher land requirement. However, relatively, the land availability in rural areas will not be much of a problem, and hence a lower weight will also suffice. So this is how you need to develop the thinking about scenario-based technology selection, and how you can incorporate that in decision making is through weights. So if you are using the technology selection tool, then uh, let's say I am selecting a couple of indicators: operational ecosystem services, then life cycle cost, and nitrogen removal. Here, I can select the scenario depending on the settings, let's say peri-urban area, and the end use, say toilet flushing. Now, in this case, I am just selecting two technologies and submitting. So it is through this, like weights. This is where you need to incorporate the weights which you have carefully thought of depending on the scenario. So let's say I'm just entering the data. I am just assuming some data for representate, like for demonstration. Okay. Regarding cost and benefit indicators, so operation cost is a cost indicator. Life cycle cost, again, a cost indicator. Yes, two cost parameters have been selected. Ecosystem services is beneficial, so it's a benefit. And total gel nitrogen also higher efficiency is desirable. So this is again a benefit indicator. Now regarding the weights. So since I am selecting a peri-urban area, uh, my operation and life cycle costs will have, let's say, somewhat intermediate weightage I'm giving. Ecosystem services will also play a key role here. So I am assigning a higher weightage. And with respect, since our end uses for toilet flushing, my nutrient removal might not be of major concern. So I'm just assigning a weight of 50. So this is how you can incorporate the weights in the decision making. If you recall, in the earlier video, when we had selected no scenario, in the weights column, we assigned like 1, 1 or any uniform number can be filled in the weights column. That will mean equal priority to all the indicators. However, in this case, my operational life cycle cost, my ecosystem services, the higher weight is assigned to this particular indicator. So in decision making, this indicator will have more priority or more role in governing the technology selection. So basically, my decision making will be more sensitive to this particular indicator, you can say. So this is how you can assign weights to govern the decision making. And if you generate the technology assessment report, so it will give a most preferred and not preferred technology. Kindly note, the data is not at all representative. It's just used for demo purpose. So when you are actually using the tool, you need to be careful regarding the data that you are using, and be it from the technology providers or from the fact sheets or through primary data collection. So this is how you can integrate scenario-based decision making in the multi-criteria decision making. And you can use JalVishwa to go about this process. I hope the tutorial videos were useful. In case of any queries, please feel free to contact this mail ID and provide your valuable feedback so as to help us improve the tool. Thank you.